Roll20 is sitting at 2 games up so far in their series over No Tomorrow. It would be stars aligning if they were able to make it to the Western Clash. It does not just end up on this win, but it would be a start, and they have to get a 3-0 if they want to maintain any sort of contention for the Western Clash. But No Tomorrow, going from a team that we thought there's no way they didn't end up the Western Clash, have now been struggling in these last couple of weeks now, falling in these first 2 games versus Roll20.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. It's a double-edged sword. I feel like, again, much like when I was talking about Europe, I feel like a little bit of both sides, because No Tomorrow coming in and showing such positive signs, and you're like, here's the new blood, and it's finally taking over the top of North America. But then again, we're kind of sitting there second-guessing on whether or not they actually have it, or it's just a really good patch, or maybe even a really great 2-3 couple of weeks for the group of the squad. And now maybe the honeymoon phase, you know, dropping off a little bit, and suddenly it's getting harder and harder for them to be able to work as a unit. And so I'm a bit concerned for them overall, you know, because we saw it in Phase 1. A lot of the teams that have that hype very rarely continue with it, you know, other than Roll20. They were the only ones that was like, oh my goodness, they're a different caliber of player and group, and actually kind of backed it up continuously.
Well, let's see if No Tomorrow can do it here. We are going to Sky Temple for game number 3. Chosen by Roll20, so No Tomorrow is consistently picking first pick still. I don't believe they've ever changed off of that, actually. Still, they always do prefer first pick to the Battleground choice coming off of a loss. But this is it for No Tomorrow. This is their last chance in the series. And really, to contend for Western Clash, they need this victory after losing to Even in Death.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be necessary. And it puts a lot on the line. Man, it's rough. And we came up with a lot of theories. We're like, well, maybe it's like with the map that we saw picked priority number 1, Infernal Shrines. Really strange to see that from them, again, not only because their priorities, but that of Roll20. And now we're down to game 3. We thought maybe it's a bit of like, get this hard stuff out of the way, and Sky Temple, so I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised is where I put it there for No Tomorrow. You know, make the argument as to why you deserve to keep up this fight, you know, for the Western Clash, because there's still so much potential behind this roster.
Going off of that conspiracy theory, though, the fact that they still did pick first pick does still keep that hope alive that maybe they wanted to just get through those first 2 and aren't too rattled by the fact that they did lose on the 2 remaining after Tomb was banned Battlegrounds, where Roll20 typically excel. A lot on the line here.
Yeah, things to focus on when it comes to Sky Temple. A lot less priority onto wave clear, a lot more priority onto just raw overall team fighting. Globals, you know, here and there, yes, they come in and are a bit impactful for the first couple of stages, but it's not nearly as high of a priority as maps like Cursed Hollow. So I expect things like Tassadar to be 100% banned here, I feel like, because we have Task Tracer, the Illidan's. Those style of heroes are extremely effective on Sky.
It's hard for Roll20 because giving up Tassadar ensures that Genji would be in the hands of Talking Trees once again. They have beaten Talking Trees Genji before, but nevertheless, it is a strong pick.
Yeah, it just comes down to one of those things where it's like, it's not necessarily that you're afraid of it directly, it's just whether or not it's your opponent's best odds of winning the game, you know?
Yeah.
And I always feel like momentum-based heroes are very much going to be that. It used to be like the Zero Toll of Glaurung for so very long. It's like if you could get him off the hero, he can always win the game himself with. It suddenly made the team that much less intimidating. Roll20, though, is still going to risk the Genji over to No Tomorrow.
Love it, because it guarantees that they either get Genji or Tassadar.
And one of those two, both are too big of a problem. Personally, Tass is up. I would be going for the Tassadar direction.
Same.
I feel like there's no way you ignore that, but No Tomorrow disagrees. Again, maybe this is the best odds for No Tomorrow. Again, having that reset and, you know, Talking Tree so amazing in that hero. But Roll20, what do you want? Is Tassadar plus whatever your heart desires? I expect them not to commit to a shield target or anything like any, you know, tracer immediately, even though it is an option within their arsenal. Traditionally, Roll20 seems a bit more comfortable just being like, here's our Tassadar and objective strong, wait for the secondary ban phase, and then, you know, bust out what they really want to commit to with the comp. They don't, neither. No Tass.
Dahaka Ariel almost guarantees that No Tomorrow, if they don't want Tass here, they would have to ban it so that they don't give Tass Ariel something
I mean, if I'm No Tomorrow, I'd be looking to be able to pick it up myself. Like, I'm very comfortable going that direction, and now it's got to be banned. And we have the Diablo Tyrande. It's going to be the all-in kill cycle here for No Tomorrow.
I did get a hint that she might be making an appearance with the buffs that she received in the last patch. Namely, her attack speed was buffed. She got some talent buffs as well. This is, man, this is No Tomorrow risking so much on their Diablo Tyrande. But they have Genji behind it too.
I feel a little timid towards No Tomorrow. We know how they want to play their team fights already. Their whole draft is committed to one specific playstyle, and now the only thing Roll20 has to do is stop that initial target from dying, and it is going to be a lot more likely that they were going to be successful in the game. Ariel is not the hero you want, the support you want to be that one. Medivh is one of those. Rhaegar is, you know, an possible option, but Uther is like the, again, top of the line priority for those things, and they're all gone. The Malfurion is going to be banned away, so not allowing for even more synergy to be stacked on top of that for No Tomorrow. And that's why I was saying the Medivh, or what I was alluding to was the Medivh specifically.
Yes.
If they get the Medivh, all the things go out the window, and this strategy gets a lot weaker. But now there's options to be able to get a kill. Anybody is going to be vulnerable, and now Roll20's got to figure things out. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went back to the Zeratul in this game.
And why do you say that?
A counter momentum for Tyrande. You can put a lot of pressure on Tyrande specifically. She suddenly, where you want to have the, you know, combo coming out from Diablo and get that initiation into the suplex, lunar flare explosion. It buys the momentum, buys the time, and more importantly, initiates on a composition that adores it being the initiators. It's not a must-have, but it is a tool, and since they've already gone that direction, it wouldn't be unheard of. But the Vala, Ariel, Tassadar, you know, that's a thing too. That made it all the way through, again, because that Medivh had to be banned.
It did. That Roll20 were able to get those, even thinking that maybe the ban at that point would go on to Tassadar, but then because No Tomorrow had to ban Medivh because of the type of composition they're wanting to execute, Roll20 are like, I mean, we'll take it if it's up. Probably going to add one more warrior to that. But No Tomorrow now, what do they add to this? They need another support. Tyrande is not your solo support dreams anymore. Potentially a Rhaegar if they want to have the chain heal. They can get the reduction, the cooldown reduction of that with tidal waves later on, trying to deal with the consistent damage that Vala Tassadar will be putting out.
Karazim for Tiger JK, no surprise there. I'm dumbfounded by what they're going to go with last. They go with the Falstad. Falstad is really nice for the style of strategy because at least it allows you to initiate. If things go sour, then you can try and gust away, wait for the later initiation, wait for your cooldowns because it is a very cooldown-dependent composition. But No Tomorrow has put a lot of risk, again, into this draft. What do we see for Roll20? What is going to be the last pick? I would say, traditionally, this is going to be a main warrior. But again, we saw Roll20 comfortable running Goku as a solo Dahaka.
Trying to think of who, maybe we see Arthas because at 7 he can get Icebound Fortitude, so he can pop that once he knows if he's going to be the target. Muradin would have Dwarf Toss, but maybe not still in time. Like, he can still be taken out even before he would be able to get away and Dwarf Toss out. Johanna for her own Iron Scan herself, unstoppable.
One of the rare cases where that random Johanna pick, you know, or like the less common Johanna pick really has a great argument for it. Just, again, dropping vulnerable targets, having something that can stall out what your opponent intends to do. And between the Ariel, Tassadar, there's so much cross-supporting. As long as Ariel's safe, you know, I really feel like Roll20 could be very confident in this game. But No Tomorrow is willing to, when everything matters, pick a Diablo Tyrande. And traditionally when you see that, it's pretty disgusting. When a team is willing to play a composition that we know is high impact and it's overly synergistic, and they're willing to do it when everything matters, it's usually just suplex, dead, suplex, dead. Like, it just comes out and you're like, well, they're not going to be touched. So I'm looking forward to No Tomorrow's performance, but you know how I feel every time with Tyrande compositions. It's not that it can't do it, it's just that you cannot mess up. And if you fail, you know, in that direction, even though I haven't actually gotten to play her much with the recent buffs, but the first iteration, you know, and the iteration we saw before this latest patch, she does have a lot of trade-offs. It's just, at the competitive level, so difficult to execute over and over and over again because conveniently, you know, the opponent learns on the fly really fast at this level.
The one nice thing for Tyrande is that she has a level 4 talent that can get rid of stuns.
Yeah.
And that is going to be instrumental if Goku's going to play Dahaka again. They have to be able to deal with Goku's drags.
When Tyrande originally released, that was like, well, for a lot of support players in HGC, the talking point was like, she has a tool that is being removed from almost every support in the game at this point in time. She is the only one who can make up for that, but her cooldown is lower by like miles than anybody else has ever had due to the auto attack, getting the reset, and then being able to get that cleanse, and then the synergy with the talent itself, like just multiple cleanses. But the trade-off seemed too far early on, right? And now it's whether or not those extra buffs coming in are enough to put her over the edge of like, it's totally worth as like essentially a CC removal bot, you know? And it's amazing.
Especially versus the blinds of Johanna and Ariel at 13, and there's a whole lot of auto attack damage for No Tomorrow. This is it for No Tomorrow. They must win this game if they want to continue on. Let's see if they can do it with Diablo Tyrande, or if Roll20 will send them packing.
I am excited here. First of all, we got Casanova's Diablo, but second of all, just the synergy here between the two. I expect to see an absolute clinic, you know? Shadow Charge, Overpower, Lunar Flare, GG. Just over and over again.
And whereas if you look at the members of No Tomorrow, might consider Talking Trees to be the Tyrande player, because he was the Tyrande player back when Equinox and Trees were on Gust or Bust. In this case, Equinox says that they both are able to do that, and this does give the flexibility still for Talking Trees to be on the Genji.
As a guy who has played both the Diablo and the Tyrande competitively in this composition, I personally feel like if you learn the Diablo end, you can play the Tyrande better. It's really strange how it functions.
Interesting.
Either way, nice Lunar Flare being dropped there. It just allows you to be really understanding of what flip cycles and where the target is going to land when you end up, like specifically with EQ combos versus QE combos. It suddenly becomes a lot more predictable on what is the good and the bad if you understand the Diablo and his role within it. And I feel like that's something that we can have Equinox abuse, just being the ex-Diablo player.
Yeah, even sometimes the Diablo players still when they play a double warrior with Diablo.
Yeah, so that's really something I expect Equinox and the rest of No Tomorrows to be able to show off here, but 45 seconds in, they have been unable to obtain that lethality we were talking about. There's the first one, but it's Justing. That is not the target they want to get on top of. So much so, Justing body blocks him in. Detainment strike from Buds, and now first blood onto Roll20.
Diablo goes down. He will get tankier as he builds up his soul's insight.
Insight Kharazim for Tiger JK. We talked about it. He was the guy I was originally talking to about the idea where I was just like, yo, I think this is crazy. Why is this not a thing? And I didn't think this would be the game we saw it. Or there's a lot of arguments on when or where this is going to come out, but this is no one-time wonder. Tiger JK is by far the most experimental Kharazim that we have, and again, one of the best. So we'll see if it works out. I am confident that with the lack of CC, it's going to work out, but with the blinds, normally I say hard CC, I'm like, that's what you're afraid of. But the only soft CC you're really afraid of is blinds. There's a lot of them on the other side.
There are.
So now I'm like, again, when he takes it, I'm not as convinced as the original argument and discussion that we had together.
Yeah, in fact, on blinds, Buds went for Swift Sweep, so he's not going to have cooldown reduction with Righteous Offense, but he will be able to increase the cast speed to make sure that when he throws out his Sacred Sweep, now it will hit who he wants it to hit because of that increase of cast time, as well as the radius increase with Majestic Span at level 4. On the other side, looking at Tyrande build, it's already starting off to be a little bit different than what we saw from Galeforce Esports last week. Equinox is building into Lunar Blaze, increasing the damage every time he hits a hero with Lunar Flare, and then after 10 heroes, it will remove the mana cost of Lunar Flare, and after 20 increases the range so that he can follow up a bit better off of the Diablo when he goes in, especially since Diablo is taken from the shadows. But not getting Celestial Attunement to be able to remove stuns, instead going for the Calderai resistance of being able to get some spell, or give some spell armor.
And again, when looking at the composition for No Tomorrow and generally how it's played out with these two, the Diablo and the Tron together, 1 through 9, you're considered one of the strongest duos and compositions in the entire game. So if we see Roll20 suddenly play as almost if they had an Abathur in their composition, that is purely just adjusting to the raw advantage Tyrande provides, the kill potential to any hero in the game to the earlier stages. So I wouldn't mind, you know, if I see even during the entire secondary Shrine phase, Roll20 was like, well, we're just going to push elsewhere because we don't want to risk this pre-10.
And why not? Because they were able to already take out the top floor. They have their Dahaka too, and they already have an experience advantage because No Tomorrow have not been able to find those picks just yet. So Roll20, a great understanding of their win condition as well as what No Tomorrow need to do to succeed with this composition.
Knights are going to be picked up for Roll20, whereas the Giants on the side of No Tomorrow. With No Tomorrow having such an early offense, it's one of the best things you can do because, again, your wave clear is poor as you see them taking forever to rid of the minion wave. This is, again, a major downside of this composition, but it means every Merc camp taken against you is insane to be able to deal with. Luckily, Falstad has a global and pretty reasonable wave clear, but he's the only one to respond to anything and everything. And that also means every mercenary camp you have for yourself, you need to make more and more valuable. And it makes sense, right? Not only do you have poor wave clear, so your sieging is poor, but also it makes it really scary for Roll20 to want to defend those Giants whenever you have such a lethal composition.
And once again, Jason has been charged with trying to deal with Goku's Dahaka, and Goku's Dahaka has been able to push Jason back every single time we see this matchup. No Tomorrow needs to start finding an opening before they get too far behind. Attainment Strike's good, but the Deflect and Cyber Agility gets Talking Trees out of danger. 7 is here for both of the teams, with Roll20 a slight experience advantage still as Johanna steps onto the temple to claim the initial few spots. Tasanova's gonna dive in, Lunar Flare goes down, but it's just before the flip. So in fact, will not be able to land on top of Justing, and now the counter drag, the counter condemn. Casanova gets pulled in and takes a lot of damage.
No Tomorrow does not lose anybody, but the anti-synergy so far between No Tomorrow's Diablo and Tronda, that's scary because you can't get away with that. Again, this comp is very unforgiving, but when it's perfectly ran, much like the, oh, hold on a minute here. Flip combo, it's gonna be a whiff there. Drag on to Equinox, Condemn pulling it in.
Wow.
There's gonna be the slow and the punish coming out once again for Roll20. There's first kill, second kill. Do they get a third? They will. Now, that is an absolutely dominant early game now for Roll20.
Man, you could see Justing moving into position, and the way his condemn came out. He also has been building into Conviction and Eternal Retaliation, so he has the ability to reduce the cooldown off of that and then get the movement speed, and that was devastating to No Tomorrow. And it's about to get a whole lot worse. Dahaka is getting these shots on the bottom. Roll20 is able to take the boss confidently, knowing that they have heroic abilities well and far above No Tomorrow getting them.
And Gilly, you know how I oftentimes, when we see the Abathur, I always talk about the power spike, the minutes, and what that looks like. This is another case where, yes, Roll20 is winning this game, but I cannot tell you how hard they're actually winning this game. It is ridiculous how far ahead they are. Yeah, you see the 2-level lead and you see the 10 spike, but we're forgetting how poor the scaling and macro play that is available from No Tomorrow's draft. So much so that, like, I mean, this should be more representative of like a 4 to 5 level lead, but yes, now No Tomorrow, they got the combo one time, but that is just once. They still need a lot more here.
Yeah, they still have a mountain to climb. They have Falstad going back to try to deal with the remainder of that boss. It's an early game boss, so No Tomorrow could continue with their plan of trying to take out Dahaka in the top lane, take out the fort, get heroic abilities. Now, what do we see? Apocalypse, and it's still going to be Shadowstalk for Toronto, so the new Shadowstalk there, not getting Starfall for some more temple zoning and control. The slows off of that.
See how that works out here for No Tomorrow. We've only seen one other Tronda, and again, it was a lesser Tronda than that of what No Tomorrow has here. And so I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised is how I leave it with all Tronda picks. You know, I can see the argument, I see the potential, but until someone, you know, runs it like just every combo is kill potential, right? I feel like the best way to convey this, I was trying to talk about it before, is when Dignitas ran the Stitches with the Malfurion, with the Kel'Thas, we saw North America try and play it here and there, and it plays the exact same way that this comp does. You hit one hard cow control, you lock them down till you one-shot them, and then if you do that enough times, consistently enough, it's meta. But you have to do that.
There's going to be a force wall splitting the members. Augusta as well trying to zone away so that No Tomorrow can get a kill, but the strafe on the back line does proc palm on Equinox, but he's still going to be split apart from the rest of the team. Talking Trees doing as much as he can with the Dragon Blade, but eventually has to concede, and even Jason goes down. Roll20 gets 3 kills and 13.
Another fight turned here for Roll20 in their favor. Trees, even a Cyber Agility is not going to let you out of this one. Deflect does not matter. 4 members are now dead. Diablo though Deathheimers are short enough that he's managed to make it back. Roll20 is looking to posture up, keep pressure up on bot with the try, conveniently, you know, having the perfect trifecta. Johanna doing her best to go back and restore some of the shots, and now they will get themselves a keep. That will allow them to cycle up on towards top shots later on, where again, No Tomorrow has to decide, do we take this talent tier down disadvantage fight? Overall, it's just the game is completely crumbling for No Tomorrow. Their window is come and gone. You know, when we're talking about the size of windows, what was the smallest one we landed on?
Porthole.
Porthole. We were looking at a porthole, maybe even less than that. It's like you took the porthole and put concrete on top of it.
Yeah, you can just barely peek through. No Tomorrow's trying to make that happen once again. They would love to get on Prismaticism as that Vala, and Talking Trees is going in.
They did
Gets the kill, takes out Vala.
That's going to be the first kill for them, but they need another one here. Palm's going to drop onto Talking Trees. The minions actually getting the kill there, so they have another tool for them, but Tyrande has fallen, so has Diablo. Just the damage is too high. They just can't compete with it. Roll20 seems unstoppable in this game.
Yeah, and even though No Tomorrow can get the first kill, the double support still remained, and they were able to get enough damage off of Glaurung to keep everyone sustained and healthy. They have the armor off of Kala's Light with the Tassadar shields too, and Force Wall has become such a hindrance to teams to try to play against in the types of compositions that we have. Things like Stitches, things like Diablo have such a tough time, and Tyrande with that too. If she gets too far up at all, being split apart from a team, what does she do to get away? She just right-clicks the base, and hopefully the force wall goes down.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, historically, again, before the rework, she was played in that same manner, but she was always moving into the Starfall to make up for that. Like, well, Tyrande's dead, but you're like, yeah, but everybody's slowed. AoE damage, she would have some of the highest damage output out of almost everybody in the game, neglecting the supporting aspect. But with this rework, she shifted more into the support role, less into the damage role, and now we're seeing teams try to make up for that, get the double supporting value, because that has been so prominent in the North American scene. We're just yet to see the argument of actually them holding their own into the fights, because I think we often talk about timing windows of the fight itself and how they want to get it. It's a very fast, explosive fight for No Tomorrow, and the sustain one goes to Roll20 all day. You saw the fight on bottom. Starts out, oh, 1 for 1. Now the fight continues, not even close. Roll20 miles ahead.
Yes. And 13 is a great power spike for No Tomorrow, but Roll20 are at 16. They're stepping in. Blessed Shield eliminates Falstad even before Apocalypse goes down to try to help, and it basically feels like all or nothing at this point for No Tomorrow. They are fighting 4 levels down against a Roll20 who is ready to claim this game and claim the series.
I mean, yeah, it's just been... We started at the draft and it was just like, we're ready for the argument, but so far we are yet to see enough of it. And again, I feel like it's just a little bit too little too late for No Tomorrow. The reveal onto the Shadow Sock is going to make things hard here for Equinox. Bud's even questioning if he was going to flank as a support. They decided to back out. You know, the boss is pretty and shiny. Everybody getting distracted, and they're like, oh yeah, I guess we'll take the boss. But that was Bud's, man, that kind of confidence. He's like, no, I got the flank. I got the detainment strike.
Yeah, Roll20, their sustainability in the Johanna pick really seemed to hinder No Tomorrow, their ability to be able to get the kind of picks that they needed. And now they have to deal with a boss in all of Roll20. There's a temple up. How do Roll20? It's basically like, choose how you win.
Yeah, at this point.
Choose your own adventure.
One of the biggest ways they could lose the game is right here. Another combo not going to land. The force wall, though, stuck Glaurung onto the other side. Too much pressure onto Casanova. He gets the palm, and a reset available, actually. Glaurung ended up going down, but Jason did not get the gust off in time because the beautiful force wall coming out from Goku, isolating him, and now another kill. The members of No Tomorrow have to back up, deal with the boss that was captured a couple of seconds ago, and now Roll20 free damage onto a keep.
Force walls, man, and detainment strikes into them too.
It's a triple keep.
It's nasty. Yep, there's the second keep. A temple is still up with a few more shots. They'll hit the final keep remaining for No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow may get 16 now. They have been able to stabilize. They don't have a boss for a little bit of time, but the minute they get that, they've got to go.
The only way I see No Tomorrow winning this game is Roll20 decides that they have to end the game on a boss and don't send somebody to backdoor. Like, that's realistically the only actual fight they should get where it makes sense that Roll20 is there. And so that window is now going to be in 3 minutes and 33 seconds, I believe, is what we got going on here. So can they hold off that long? I mean, we're going to have another temple phase in between. Roll20 is primed to be able to take the series.
Now Tomorrow trying to figure out what they can do to get back in this game.
Okay.
The Mercs haven't been capped yet.
Yeah, so I want to talk about, did you see, like, No Tomorrow is looking for a kill anywhere and everywhere on the map. And I talked about the lack of wave clear in this comp, and I always talk about why that's the biggest downside is because at this stage of the game, because things didn't work out for the earlier parts of it, they now need a kill somewhere, anywhere. They need to find someone, but they have to kill the minions, so vision isn't so heavily in Roll20's favor. So every route that they go has to go very predictably through the eye, or it has to go very predictably through boss. And now Roll20 goes, as long as we're together and we scout, there's no world where we should realistically get caught out, because again, we don't have vision advantage, all based on the momentum they failed to obtain in the earlier stages.
And what better heroes to be able to give vision for that than having Tassadar and then Johanna, who can shine a flashlight in so many of her bushes, or just step in and have iron skin.
They're just camping the Knights because they know that's the only way.
That is all they can do. No Tomorrow have been forced into an almost unwinnable situation, and they are doing everything that they can think of to still try to win this game number 3. They are down 2 games already in the series.
And now we have the double shrine. This is where it is everything. No Tomorrow has to play flawlessly if they're not going to lose this game. They're already down that 3% and almost the 20 advantage. Even Glarung moving on in, and that's exactly what I was talking about. They can backdoor, split the pressure, keep aggro, and just wait for somebody to overcommit here. No Tomorrow. The pressure is on, and they have to make it happen. Trond is already getting kind of caught out on bottom.
Equinox.
He's got Shadowstock? Not for 14.
Nope. Jason's keeping Glaurung from heading in there too. The rest of the team starting to go in. Diablo is there as well as Genji, while Karzim holds on to mid. So they sort of have a support. There is the Crystal Aegis to keep Prismaticism from dying to Apocalypse and the combo. Blessed Shield, Talking Trees is already dead. Equinox will fall next, and this looks like it will be it, Dreadnought.
Yeah, with even the Devil's Due coming back, not even the Devil's Due, but the fact that we had enough souls to be able to revive, it's not going to matter. These shots are going to the core and doing 3% of whack here. Roll20, they said that they needed a 3-0. Their game plan was to find a way to be able to make that happen, and now here on Sky Temple, they have made it a reality.
Roll20 are bringing down the core.
It's just so well done here. Roll20, gotta respect that, you know. At least we had a lot of baby steps.
It's all fun and games at the end.
It was. In the end, it is just, you know, everybody enjoying themselves, but my goodness, Roll20 was just that whole series. Not even just one game.
Level.
It was like, game 2 was the only one where you're like, this might be kind of close. No Tomorrow was really, it was a bit more competitive than that one. Games 1 and 3, Roll20 was just, they were very much like, you know how you got the title of the new hype team in Phase 2? Yeah, we're going to kill that quick and move on.
Now, Roll20, with that 3-0 victory, do not clinch a spot at the Western Clash. Because they had 3 losses earlier on in this Part 1 of Phase 2, they are still relying on the outcome of Team Freedom versus Tempo Storm. And I believe that the only way that they could still get into that tiebreaker match is if Team Freedom now 3-0s Tempo Storm. And then not only is it a tiebreaker match, but it is a tiebreaker match between Tempo Storm and Roll20, where the winner gets to go to the Western Clash and the loser does not.
I'm ready for it. You know, we have had almost, from midseason brawl on, we have almost had the most unthinkable circumstances in terms of match results. When you're like to make a perfect storm, we have almost had this since the midseason brawl onward, right? Like specifically with the storyline between Fnatic, Dig, the comeback, the miracles there, and then phase number 2, it's still carrying over for both regions. Why stop now? You know, might as well like get to the point where it's all the way down to the tiebreaker, where the number 1 and 2 of phase 1. One of them's got to send the other packing.
Yeah, can you imagine that it would be a tiebreaker match between those 2 teams? The 2 teams that represented North America as the number 1 and 2 team at the mid-season brawl even. But Tempo Storm won that match 3-1 earlier on versus Roll20, but Roll20 seems to be stabilizing and climbing. Let's check in with Roll20. Let's check in with Glaurung. Glaurung, congratulations. You guys got the 3-0 victory you needed. How are you guys feeling?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
We're good. Thank you. Thanks for the fun games. Talk us through, the mentality of the team as you came into the match today.
As we came into the match, like the past few days of scrims have been going pretty good. So I'd say our mentality is definitely a lot better than it was in the past. Obviously, like our inconsistency sucks for you guys as fans, but it sucks even more for us. So we've been like really trying to get over that, and I think we're slowly starting to. Regardless of whether or not Freedom, I mean, I'm Freedom's biggest fan right now, so don't get me wrong. But regardless of whether or not Freedom 3-0s, I think our morale and practice in general has been improving. Going into BlizzCon, we should be good, but right now I'm just rooting for Freedom.
Yeah, I have to imagine that even if you guys don't end up making it to the Western Clash, that being able to end on such a convincing win for Part 1 has put you in a really good place mentally for your practice and preparations for Part 2.
I'd say that's true, yeah.
Nice. Dread, you have questions?
I mean, my biggest thing comes down to just, again, kind of a little bit more with the morality and like, or not the morality, but the moral of the group and the mentality of the actual group overall and how things are going. Is you guys have often talked about how things start out really well and then they kind of go sour and then they end up stabilizing and then things work out for a while. Like, what are you guys trying to do to make sure that it doesn't take a step back once more? You know, that dip that seems to get you in these hard-fought situations. How do you get the avoiding of that?
To be completely honest, I think every team in existence will have its ups and downs, but to prevent that, I think the key is you need to learn how to enjoy the company of your teammates, and we've struggled with that a little bit over time, but like the past week or so, we've been playing games together as a team outside of scrims and just raising our morale a little bit, and I think it definitely has helped. So I think just have fun, I think, is a big aspect of. If you're having a good time, it makes it easier to focus on what you need to improve, I guess.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for that perspective.
Well, Glau, if you guys are able to get to the tiebreaker match, we know it would be versus Tempo Storm. How would you guys feel going up against Tempo Storm once again so soon after you did last weekend?
Okay, so my perspective on the Tempo match, I think that Tempo is kind of in a similar situation to us. They're not in top form, so I think that bodes well. I think we're starting to recover. However, we've never beaten them online, but they've never beaten us in a high-pressure situation. So I think this is kind of best-case scenario for us in an online match. If we end up playing Tempo in the tiebreaker, everything's on the line. I think we're going to play as if we were on LAN, and they've never beaten us on LAN, so I think we'll win.
That is true. I didn't think about it that way, that it's so high pressure, but it's still online. It's maybe the most even we'll get to see between you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you luck in that. Congratulations again. Any shout-outs?
A huge shout-out to my teammates for showing up. The 3-0 today was like our only chance to have a chance to go to the Clash, so I'm really happy we ended up making that happen. So shout-out to my teammates. Shout-out to all of our fans. I know we've been pretty inconsistent, and it's probably hard to be a Roll20 fan right now, but we appreciate you guys. So keep cheering for us, and if we don't make it to the Western Clash, hopefully we have a good showing at BlizzCon.
Awesome. Congratulations again. Thanks, Glau.
Yeah, have a good one, you guys.
You too. Roll20 has done their part now, and unfortunately for you guys, you have to wait for Team Freedom versus Tempo Storm until tomorrow. It's just as hard on us as it is you guys, trust me. But we do have an awesome match coming up next. It's going to be Superstars versus Gale Force.
Gale Force here, you know, I talked about today with No Tomorrow. They're the teams, two teams that look, whenever they're always making something happen, they look almost unbeatable. And again, I'm expecting that kind of mentality from them. But what I'm looking for from Superstars, the fact that, you know, they reverted back some of the changes. They looked a lot better last week. And so now I'm excited, like, maybe they put up a lot more of a fight than, you know, we would typically project because of that change.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what adjustments have come in. It seems like every single week is a little bit different for Superstars in the drafting, and we have a new patch. So get excited for that match. We'll see you guys soon. This is HGC.